So out May 18th on 4K Ultra HD from Universal is The Sting in 4K. No word yet on the transfer or sound mix or really anything as far as that's concerned. A lot of what's being said so far, some people are concerned about the original master being used, which wasn't restored at all previously. Originally a Blu-ray digibook of this that came out. It was an anniversary edition. And it was solid, but again, people complained about how it looked. So they're keeping their fingers crossed that maybe this is going to right some of those wrongs. So there is a regular edition of this coming out, and then there's also a steelbook of this coming out. And the features on both editions are a 3-part documentary on the creation of the film, featuring interviews from Robert Redford, Paul Newman, and a bunch more. And then 3 kind of what seemed like throwaways to me. 100 Years of Universal. This has nothing to do with the Sting. 100 Years of the Universal, Restoring the Classics. 100 Years of Universal, the 70s. And 100 Years of Universal, the Lot. So I don't really know what those are. Essentially, when I saw this at first, I was kind of like, okay, this is just some bare bones release of this movie. Hopefully the transfer's good, and maybe that's what will be the selling point here. You know, people that have been mad about the transfer before. But it seemed like this is a movie that I would maybe consider purchasing if that was the case. But then I noticed that for anyone that's interested, that Zavvi is actually doing a little bit more for this movie. The Zavvi one's actually pretty cool. This is the one that I'm interested in getting. It does contain a steelbook, and again, they're using, for once, I know we just trashed steelbook art. They're using original art here, which is pretty cool. And then they're also taking that steelbook and they're sliding it into a slip box, which has actual real footage from the film on it. All the original art has all been illustrated. This actually has a real picture from the film on the actual slip box, which is also pretty cool. So to come with that is a 32-page behind-the-scenes booklet, 4 art cards, a theatrical poster, and as I mentioned, a glossy UV slip box which holds all the contents, which is again different non-illustrated art. So this is a pretty decent-looking package that they're putting together. It's still the 4K disc and all that kind of stuff.
Definitely nicer than the standard release.
Yeah, by far. And it's it's $53 for this box and this package. It might come down, maybe not though. This is a really awesome movie. It's really cool that they are putting this out in 4K. It's a shame that Universal themselves didn't really give a shit. This is an incredible film within their catalog. They're just kind of like throwing it back out there and just saying, here, if you want this, come and get it. That makes me feel like they probably aren't doing shit with the transfer again. It's just here, this is one more time. If you were considering getting this or you had not seen it before and you wanted to buy something, this would be probably the one to get at least. You probably wouldn't go back and get the Blu-ray, even though it is a nice digibook. But this set right here is pretty solid if you can get it. It is limited, however. So you'd have to get this while supplies last. Russ, you have not seen this movie?
I have not. I've never seen this thing. I've always been interested in checking this out. It's one of those ones that just always fell on the back burner, always got away.
Yeah.
Maybe this release will be the one to turn all that around.
It is solid. I mean, it's got heavyweights in there, obviously Paul Newman and Robert Redford, but don't forget about Robert Shaw either. I mean,
that's what actually piques my interest the most.
If you're a Robert Shaw fan at all, or even if you're not, you will witness an incredible performance. The perfect villain.
Name's Lonergan. Doyle Lonergan. You're going to remember that, Mr. Shaw, you follow?
He's got a great character. It's a great personality. He's got a great catchphrase.
To pile back on to Spielberg in our earlier segment, yes, my thoughts on Jaws are if you take Robert Shaw out of it. Robert Shaw makes Jaws a masterpiece to me.
It's awesome that you can even say that about an actor. Like, to add him into something makes the
best.
movie. I said the same thing about this. Who you having against them in this movie? You're not. And the same thing like you said was Quint.
Quint's the coolest thing in Jaws. He makes that movie. And yeah, dude, I always forget Robert Shaw is in this.
He's awesome.
I will be checking this out.
Yeah. There's another great movie that Robert Shaw is in, The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. He's also the villain in that movie, and that's another really cool movie that he is, again, like just portraying a really bad character.
True, but the only thing, he had the problem of being compared to John Travolta.
Definitely, I am interested in pre-ordering the Zavvi version. I mean, it seems like a nice little box set here. I kind of like the way that all the contents look and the way everything looks here. It's a little on the pricey side, but again, maybe it's worth waiting to see what the transfer is going to turn out to be. However, this is limited, and before you know it, it'll probably be gone. So you kind of maybe have to bite the bullet and just go for it otherwise. But coming soon.
You follow?